Good afternoon, everyone. You're welcome to another edition of the free masterclass of ADSR analyst. Thank you for joining us. My name is Folusho Ilori. It's a great privilege to have you here, and I assure you it's going to be an interesting time together here as we examine data sources. These are the ground rules. Please mute your gadgets while the program is on. In order to save time, kindly drop your questions inside the chat box. It will be attended to appropriately. Let's appear neatly when our cameras are on. Speakers are to speak loud and clear for the listeners to hear them. There will be also a group photograph at the end of the session. Kindly join in. Thank you once more for joining us. Sit back and enjoy the rest of the program. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you once again for joining us on this second edition of ADSR Masterclass series for October. And we are glad to have you all around us today. I'll be talking briefly about ADSR, Analyst Data Services and Resources Limited, and its academy, known as Analyst Academy. Permit me to share my screen. I believe you can see my screen. Okay, thank you. By way of outline, we are going to, for the benefit of the first people that are joining us for the first time, we would like to take a very few of your time to let you know who we are and our services and what guides our activities at ADSR. At ADSR, ADSR is a data and research company that provides accurate data, information, and analysis for intelligent investment, academic, and policy decisions. We have and we boast of the largest structured database for corporate, academic, and social data. And we have specialists and our core expertise are on data collection, aggregation, processing, and analytics. Our work here is to help industry players across academics and business world to make sense of their work in terms of providing them accurate information. And we believe that data is intelligent and it can make sense. It can speak to data and data can speak to us. So our guiding principles that help us in our work, in terms of our motto, our vision, we believe that we make sense of data, making data intelligent. Our vision is to be the Africa's premier data research and intelligence company. And we handle our works and our activities, and we approach the issues that we handle analytically and objectively. We handle our task with diligence, and our thinking process is strategic in delivering our jobs, and we are guided with respect for all our stakeholders and clients. Our services cut across economic advisory, economic research, data analysis and processing, Anastat subscription and database, research publication, and capacity development. Under these broad areas of activities that we offer, on economic advisory, we provide microeconomic monitoring and advisory. We do forecasts on macroeconomic issues. We provide research advisory. We also do executive briefs and intelligence. We conduct economic and financial modeling, and we do industry reports for organizations. Data analysis and processing, we are specialists in data and survey design, data collection, and data analysis. And we also we have publications that we use in disseminating our information through our weekly data analyst weekly review. We have our monthly reviews and our quarterly reviews. On our data subscription database, we have a platform which we call Anastat, where we have data on every and various aspects that we provide in subscription base. And finally, we also have our capacity building programs, in terms of which we have Analyst Academy and Analyst Masterclass series, this is one of is part of the Analyst Academy. Talking broadly about our capacity development programs, it is broadly categorized into 5. We have research and report writing courses. We have economic analysis courses, political and policy analysis courses, data science and analytic courses. And finally, last but not the least, we have econometric modeling courses. Diving more detailed on these courses. Yeah, because of we don't want to take much of your time. These are more detailed on our courses on these areas. So every year we have our academic and training programs in terms of our calendar, yearly calendar that we draw out and we disseminate to everyone, organizations and institutions for their information and for their use. So if we believe that you'll be interested in our courses and our programs, so we can reach out to us. We can make this available for you and for your use. We would like you to connect with us on our different social media platforms so that you can get abreast with our activities and events. And we would like to let everybody know that along the line, we are working on certificated training program, which will make available for more information for everyone to know that is coming up very shortly. So we believe that this is an opportunity for us to reach out and to give back to the public through our masterclass programs. And we appreciate your time with us. And we believe that you will gain a lot from this program. Thank you. And we appreciate you once again for joining us. I would like to hand you over to the facilitator of the day, who is going to take you through the program, the lecture for today, the class for today, which is exploring data sources. So thank you, and sit back and enjoy. God bless you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would just like to share my screen so that we can just start right away. Okay, so can we all see my screen?
Yes.
All right. So good afternoon. So our topic for today's class is exploring data sources. I'm P. Solubere, Head of Database and Archival Services for Analyst Data Services and Resources. And I'll be taking us through today's class series. We're looking at three major things. The first, we talk about data definition and relevance. Then we also look at global information sources. We can look at economic and markets data. Then we look at local information sources, where we see government data and also private data sources. Okay, so what's data? Convey information, describing other basic units of meaning, or simply sequences of symbols that may be further interpreted. That's the definition that Wikipedia gives. So we understand that data is a collection of different discrete values that can convey information. Okay, so we know that data is the new oil. That's stated by Clive Rumby. Above all else, show the data. Edward R. Tufte said that. So those are some of the things that shows us, quotes that shows us how important data is. Data is very important. So we can move to, can talk about what is the relevance of data. I'm sure we all understand how important data is. Understand that data is central to research, investments, policy, planning, and general decision making. And we know that with this, you can say that data is very, very useful in report writing. Can't do without that. And we know that if we say data is useful, that means that poor data actually means that poor analysis, and it also means that you get poor conclusion, and definitely gives you poor reports, and of course, poor policies. So we understand the importance of data. We know that it's important that if a writer or a researcher is working on data, they have to pay close attention to sources and availability of data. So what do? We know that knowledge of where to obtain specific data is very useful and time-saving. So that's why we come up with this particular class, which will also help us to understand how to go about our data. What are the challenges that we face? What are data challenges that people encounter, especially when you have to work with data? First is unavailability of required data and information. You want to work on data, but it's not available. Secondly, inaccessibility of relevant data. You can't access relevant data that you need. Lack of data in readily usable formats. You have data, you can access it, but it's not in a particular format that you have. So what will you do? Unfamiliarity with available data sources. You're not familiar with data sources that you have. So I'm sure that if you can understand these data challenges that we're talking about, this course that we are having now will actually solve most of this problem, because we share with us data sources that are available and how we can access these data sources, where we can get them, and what data we can get from the sources. So we have to understand that data comes in two forms. We have primary data and also secondary data. Primary data are data that are gotten by the researcher for a particular project that he or she is handling. So an individual or researcher can actually work on the data, and it's primarily to him. Then we have secondary data, whereby it has gone through different aggregation, collection of data stored in a particular way so that other people can have access. They can have access to these data. So we have the primary data and also the secondary data. So for the primary, it's mostly done by individual researchers, and for secondary data, you can actually get them on commercial platforms, institutions, or other private organizations. So I want us to understand that mainly for this class, we'll be talking more on economic and financial data sources for Nigeria. Although we understand that there are other social or political data, but majorly for this class, we'll be talking more on the economic and financial data sources for Nigeria. So I've explained what data is, primary and secondary data. We understand that secondary data are mostly gotten from institutions, private or commercial platforms, and below are examples of the following institutions or platforms whereby we can get such data. So we can just dive in to see details of these data sources. All right. So for data sources, we have the global sources of data. And global sources of data, we have two, like I said earlier. We have the economic sources and we have the market data sources. So for the economic data sources, we talk about the official statistics released by country statistical agencies and intergovernmental organizations. So we have different organizations that actually provide data that has to do with countries and statistical agency. Then we have the market data. Market data is just data of financial instruments such as stocks, bonds, funds, options, futures, currencies, exchange rates across different markets. So it's just a collection of financial instruments. For the global economic data, what are the sources that we can actually explore? We understand that there are many development-based institutions that provide comprehensive data on Nigeria, and they allow cross-country comparisons over a number of years. Now, remember I said that for this class, we will be focusing more on economic and financial data in Nigeria, although we recognize that there are other data sources for social, political data. So what are these institutions? We say they are development-based institutions that provide this data. First, we have the World Bank. For World Bank, we have the World Development Indicators, we have Global Economic Outlook, we have World Integrated Trade Solutions. So World Bank actually put up these database that actually help people to source for data. So we can have data on Nigeria. We can also look at other data provided, which are other country data over a number of years. So you can compare different countries. And another is IMF. IMF provide a data source whereby we can check via international financial statistics. We can look at World Economic Outlook, WEO, and direction of trade statistics. These are global sources that can help us with our economic data. We have the United Nations. Our United Nations has the ComTrade, the UNCTAD statistics, and the UN stats. So if we can explore this, we can actually make use of more global economic data to compare. So there are other private institutions like the Economic Intelligence Unit, we have the Trading Economics, we have the Research Group, Financial Times, Moody's Analytics, amongst others. So we talk about the global market data. For the global market data from different sources, so they pull data from such data, regulatory filings, we have open sources, they gather so that investors, analysts, advise of them. So data vendors actually, so that it can be easier for people to access. Now, examples of these data vendors, these global data vendors, are Bloomberg Professional, Thomson Research, DataStream, that's Refinity, which was formerly Thomson Reuters. We have CompuStat, we have Capital IQ, Center for Research and Security Prices, that's CRSP, Watson Research Data Services, Global Financial Data, GFD, amongst many others. There are a lot of global data vendors, but just to list a few, these are the ones that you can actually explore. So, move to the next slide. After looking at global sources, let's look at local sources in Nigeria. Local sources and data that we can access from them. For local sources, we have government data sources and we have private data sources. For government data sources, these are data generated by MDAs depending on their respective activities and industry of operations. So several MDAs actually make public some of their information based on their activities and their operations. Then we also have private data sources. Private data sources are aided by development in the technology space, so they work in aggregating data, just like we have for data vendors. We also have private data, local private data sources that actually aggregate data aided by development in the technology space. Local government data. Government data that we can get locally. We understand that there are lots of government data sources that exist in Nigeria. So we focus on information that they make available public as against those generated for their internal use. There are a lot of data that they can have, they have some for internal use, but we'll be focusing on those that have been made public so that people can actually access and make use of it. So let's explore these data, their sources and their platform. So first we have the NBS. NBS is National Bureau of Statistics, and they are like the statutory authority when it comes to national data in Nigeria. They compile the national accounts and they give us data on different indexes. We have consumer price index, and they also host some series of all sorts of it, and also provide some other MDA statistics. So where can you get their data? You can get it on their e-library platform. It's compiled into different Excel workbook, so you can access the information from their e-library platform. We can also look at the Central Bank of Nigeria. Central Bank of Nigeria, the CBN, what they do is to compile the monetary and financial data for monetary policy. They host a lot of data in monetary and financial policies, and we can get most of their data on their statistical bulletin. They have the quarterly statistical bulletin, they have the annual statistical bulletin, and also they produce an annual report that hosts a lot of financial and monetary data. Let's move to SEC. The Securities and Exchange Commission compiles data on securities, registration, and trading. They provide this data in their annual reports and also some other bulletins. And recently they've been doing their statistical bulletin. So these bulletins and reports actually host a number of data on securities and tradings of exchanges. So we can explore that for trading activities of exchanges. Then let's look at the Debt Management Office, that's the DMO. What the DMO does is to provide bond issuance, subscriptions. They give us the debt profile of the nation, and it serves as a good data source for bond issuance and subscriptions level. So most of the data on bond subscription and bond insurance, you can get them in their annual reports, it's contained in their annual reports. You can also get them in the statement of accounts, you can get them in the debt profile, and also in the bond reports. So these reports are actually issued. So you can access this report and get most of the information that has to do with debt in them. Then we have the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation. The Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation is actually an agency that actually insures depositors' money. So we have them having data on deposit insurance coverage and indicators of financial sector soundness and stability. So if you want to look at data that have to do with financial sector soundness and their stability, then you can access their annual reports. They have all the indicators that covers for financial sector soundness and stability. The next slide, we look at PENCOM. PENCOM is the National Pension Commission in Nigeria, and they actually oversee everything that has to do with pension. So if you're interested in pension industry data, then you can check out their annual reports. You can check out their statement of account as well. You can look at their monthly and their quarterly reports. They have lots of data on pension industry. Then the next is NICOM. And they actually release insurance sector data through their sector statistics reports. We can also look at the Office of the Accountant General. The Office of the Accountant General ensures that value for money in the government financial, there is value for money in the government financial activities. So they provide the Federation Accounts Allocation Committee reports. It's made public. You can check the FAC reports, and also you can also check the fiscal account reports if you want to have access to the value from, if you want to have access to financial activities of the government. You can check the FAC reports and also the fiscal account reports. We also have the Budget Office of the Federation, the BOF, and what it does is to give us detailed reports on the budgets. They provide different data publication that includes budget. So you have data publication or reports that has to do with budget proposal, budget approval, budget implementation reports. So there are several budget documents that can actually access from the BOF. We have the NNPC, Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation. Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation give key statistics on the Nigerian upstream, midstream, and downstream oil and gas activities. So they provide different documents whereby you can access the different activities that is going on in the Nigerian petroleum industry. Starting from the midstream to the downstream to the upstream, you can look across and get those data. So this data actually available in their annual reports, is available in their monthly petroleum information, which is the MPI reports. They have it in their annual statistical bulletin. We also have it in their monthly financial operation report, that's the FOR. So you can get key statistics on Nigeria petroleum industry. And lastly, let's look at NCC. NCC is Nigerian Communication Commission. And what they are actually a body that oversees the telecommunication industry of Nigeria. So they have the statistics and reports that contain some useful data and information on Nigeria communication industry. They have it in their statistics, their NCC statistics and reports. They have their annual reports, and also you can visit their webpage for other statistics and key indicators. So after exploring the government's data sources that we have, let's look at private data sources. Many private data sources exist in Nigeria, and it is actually growing into a business area, being aided by development in the technology space. So we look at some of these key sources. And first, we'll be looking at public companies. For public companies, know that there are several financial reports of public companies, both audited and unaudited companies. we have different reports that you can get for public companies. So they are actually released as their audited annual reports, and some can even have unaudited quarterly reports, depending on the firm. Another is securities exchanges. For security exchanges, they provide data on securities, prices, capitalization, volume, value of transaction, and corporate actions. So examples of these are the NSE, which is the NGX, NASD, FMDQ, FX, and NCX. We also have the CMOs. These are the capital market operators. The capital market operators consist of brokers and dealers, custodians, fund managers, issuing houses, registrars, amongst others. What do? They compile data for operations and analysis. So capital market operators are also a place that we can explore for data when we are looking at private data sources. Then we have research firm and institutions. Research firm and institutions are firms that actually have their own data base. Examples are Financial Derivatives Company, the FTC, Augusto and Co. We have Economic Associates, we have Kainosage Consulting, we have Brickfield, Road Associates, PwC, Deloitte, KPMG, Nairametrics, and of course, ADSR. So these research firms actually have a database that stores information. Another source of private data that we can look at is the academic institutions. For academic institutions, there are some professors and researchers in probably universities or research institutions that have been able to build quite a number of databases from their past studies, and they have actually conducted different research over the years. So they kind of aggregate this together into a database, and they maintain this database for from these studies that they've conducted in their fields over the years. Then lastly, we can look at the local data vendors. Local data vendors, we can say that these consist of activities of activities of local data vendors, which is currently evolving in Nigeria. For example, we can see that NGX has introduced market data subscription that's been since like 2012. So a lot of exchanges, it has encouraged subscribers to actually subscribe to the exchange's data. So these exchanges are local data vendors whereby they can get data from the exchange and actually redistribute on their own, from their own end, because they've been licensed to do that. So examples of these local data vendors that we have in Nigeria, we have the Global Tribe Solutions, we have Infoware Limited, we have Applied Logic, and we have ProShare. So these are data sources that we can actually explore from the private data area. Public companies, securities exchanges, CMOs, research firms, academic institutions, and local data vendors. Now, we've been talking about structured data all the while. Let's also look at unstructured data sources. For unstructured data sources, we can say it's Wikipedia defines it as information that either does not have a predefined data model or is not organized in a predefined manner. So unstructured is not like a structured data that you have a particular model or a particular way that the data has been organized. Most times it's in text, and you have to actually call out information from this large text that you have. So an example of what we can do is the content analysis. Content analysis is a research tool that can be used to determine the presence of certain words. Remember, I said it has to do with text and it's unstructured. So you have several words, several themes and concepts. So content analysis is actually a tool that can be used to determine the presence of certain words, themes, or concepts within some given qualitative data. Another example of unstructured data is newspaper. Newspaper and other news outlets with business focus are good sources of data that we can use. They are unstructured data, so we can actually crawl out information from them. Let's also talk about the big data. Big data refers to data set that are too large or complex to be dealt with by traditional data processing application software. And these days we have a lot of information. So what do? We get a program or write a program to actually gather this information and see how we can gain meaningful information from them using several programming tools, probably like Python or some other tools that can actually analyze this group of words and gain meaning from them. And from there, we've been having different Twitter analysis, WhatsApp, a lot of different analysis that can be done via social media. So Twitter analysis is also one of the unstructured data sources whereby you have large words, different tweets, crawled together, grouped together, now using your program tool or your research tool, probably a program, to dissect the information and see how you can actually extract good information from them. So you can talk about your sentiment analysis. You can also look at different polls. You can even generate polls from these tweets. Okay. So unstructured data, we've talked about different unstructured data. We talked about using content analysis as a research tool to determine the presence of certain words. We've talked about newspaper, we've talked about big data, and also recently social media analysis. Now, having explored these different data sources that we have, from the global data sources, the economic data sources, and the market data sources, to our local data sources in Nigeria, looking at the government data sources and also private data sources, we all agree with me that it would be great to have a comprehensive database of relevant economic, financial, and social data on the continent of Africa, which will provide robust and timely data and information. And I can tell you that this is one of the things that ANASTAT serves. ANASTAT is a database by Analyst Data Services and Resources that actually hosts a large database. We can probably say it's one of the largest in Africa. It hosts database of relevant economic and financial data, and it's very robust and goes over the years, even way back in time. And some of the data that we have in this database, we have the capital market data, we have data on companies, financials, and fundamentals. We have corporate governance and social responsibility data. We have data that have to do with industrial macroeconomic. We have data on government macroeconomic. We have aggregate macroeconomic data. There are several data on policies and proxies, and also global indicators. We can say that looking at the challenges that we face in gathering data, sourcing for data, if you can get all your required or relevant data on a particular platform, I know you say that will be so much helpful. And that is what ANASTAT has come to do. To relieve you the stress of exploring or looking for data and saving you time, and also getting accurate data for your use. So thank you very much. That'll be the end of my class. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Olubere, for very great presentation. Want to continue with the program? You can stop sharing your screen, Ms. Olubere. Thank you. So, before we go to question and answer session, we will give opportunity to some of our eminent participants that are available on the program to have some discussion, one or two discussion on the issue of data sources, because from the presentation, we have come to understand that there's a lot of data sources ranging from the private to the public sector, depending on what you want and what you need. And ADSR stand as a very big space in source of data. And we are very, very ready and ready to provide any kind of data for any kind of research activities. So I would like to invite Professor Erea, if he's in the house, have the floor for like 10 minutes on his discussion about data sources.
Okay, good afternoon, Mr. Nete, and thanks to, can you hear me?
You're welcome. Good afternoon for your questions.
Good afternoon, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you, sir.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Peace, for that insightful presentation that cut across different data sources, structured and unstructured. My point is just to add that sometimes in economics and finance, where what drives the kind of research we do is mainly because of data. So data availability is very, very important. So somebody is to do a research, and it's even before going into the key issues about the research, they are worried about data sources. So what kind of data can they use? And that sometimes inform the kind of research that they do. But that sometimes creates a lot of limitation to the power of what we can use research to do, because research is very informing. Research, expand the frontier of knowledge and does a lot of things to policy changes and decision and making the world a better place. Therefore, my first statement is to say that what should drive us should be more about the issue, the problem, or the issue we want to unravel. Let's leave the data aspect to those who are now expert in data gathering or data data gathering aggregation to now help us to now source for that data. And one of such places is ADSR, Anastat. Anastat has a big platform for whatever kind of data that you are interested in. So first, beyond just data, they also provide advisory around research. So my advice is first get the point right, which is the issue, research issue. And if you get it right, then you can now come to see how you can discuss with some of these key data providing agencies on how you can now get your data or go about the kind of data that you are interested in that can fit into the kind of research that you do. So data is important. Data is key to the kind of research, but research itself should not be first not driven by the kind of data. I mean data. It should be first the issue and then get across to people who can now give you some guides about the kind of data or kind of source of information that you need. Nigeria has a lot of data. If it's data, Nigeria has a lot. For instance, they talk about Office of the Accountant General. We are all aware that anytime anybody is doing something on expenditure, you see them using data from on expenditure, and most times such analysis are hanging somehow because we don't have the right source of data to what is happening to government finances. And some of these organizations like ADSR that has the knowledge in terms of both industry and academics can help us to get the right data around that we could best use, and they will take away the time would have taken to start sourcing for this data here and there. So my advice is, yes, Nigeria has a lot of data, and if you have the right access, then you have the data. But if you know that you don't have the access, then get across to places that can help you to get the right data that you can use to inform the kind of analysis that you want to do, and then unravel some policy direction for both the country and then for yourself and inform yourself. So data is available. Don't see data as a limitation. If you have the right link and to the right source, then you definitely have the kind of data you are looking for. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much for that. I think the point to take home from there is do your focus on your area of expertise, and in terms of division of labor, there are people that can handle the data sourcing for you. Focus on your key issue that you are working on in terms of solving the problem, the research. Then data and the source of data and the right data will come in through the appropriate expert. Thank you very much, Prof, for that. Before I call on the next speaker, please, if you have your question, please type it in the chat box and we will attend to them very quickly. So please, I would like to call Mr. Victor Shoyibo to speak for like just 5 to 10 minutes on the issue. Thank you, Mr. Victor. You are welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. And thank you, Peace, for that wonderful presentation, and Professor Erega for the emphasis that you made. And I think it's important that we really understand what Professor Erega is trying to say. We've not been able to move the frontier of knowledge significantly in, I'd say, Africa generally, because we think from the prism of data when we want to embark on understanding an issue or doing research. Not focusing entirely on what the research problem is that you want to solve. And that's because we think within our capacity as a researcher, not exploring, say, other resources, that might be helpful in our research and endeavor. So and I think that's a very, very important point, because when we embark on a study from the prism of what data is available, we limit the extent to which we can be innovative in our research, we can be innovative in our methodology. The advent of, say, natural processing language, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and its application in research today is because countries, societies are beginning to see that there's a lot that you can get from unstructured data, but you don't have to think alone, just working with structured data alone. And then they began to think of innovative ways to handle those kinds of data. And we've had a lot of innovations in those areas. I have not seen how much in Africa generally, in Nigeria generally, we've actually moved that needle significantly as far as our research methods is concerned. And just to corroborate that point, data is available. If you set out your issue, you may not be able to achieve all, maybe the entire data that you want to get, but you will contribute, you will add something to it. It could be that you are mixing, say, qualitative data, for example, with a quantitative, but there is something, there's the possibility of innovation in that area. If we focus on issue and then we use issue to drive our data activity. And I think that's a very, very important point that Prof has made. I think that's just what I would add, that as a researcher, focus on your issue, get resources, experts, get people who can help you think through your data, see how they can sort of combine both structured and unstructured data for you to help you achieve your research objective. See how you can combine both qualitative and quantitative, both primary and secondary, and then you will be able to really achieve the objective of the research, which is to move the frontier of knowledge. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I'll stop for now.
Thank you, sir, for your discussion. We appreciate your idea and your contribution. So we will move to question and answer session, and we'd like to look at a few of the questions that we have here. Number one, what we have here, someone is asking if Anastat is free or subscription based. Yes, Anastat is not free. Anastat is subscription based and is paid. For now, we operate on request because we are currently still building on the platform, and it's at advanced stage, which after completion will be ready for use globally, and anybody anywhere in the world can access it and query and get whatever data he or she is looking for. But at the moment, it's based on request. You can reach out to ADSR through our different platforms and request for whatever data you need, and we'll be very glad to attend to your need. Our response time is very fast, and we can assure you that we will treat your request with dispatch, utmost dispatch. Thank you very much. We still expect some other questions from other platforms because this program is streamed live on Facebook, and we believe that we have participants on that platform. Quickly, we want to announce that the next masterclass, as we will announce later, we're also looking at a training that is coming up possibly by December, and that will be very, very appropriate for everyone, but it will be a certificate training because we've been receiving requests from people that they need training on certificate, well, training be certificated or what. So we are going to organize our first certificate training in the next few weeks, and we will make available information across to everyone. So please sorry, before we call on the next program, there's question someone wants to ask. Please.
Okay, thank you. I think one question was sent on what I think how is it related to somebody said. Professor Bida said it very well. We should not just focus on whether data is available or not when we work, but we should also rest assured that Nigeria has a lot of data. And I think that point we should take home from here. It may be difficult. The data may not be in the readily usable format as PIS has shown us. You may not get easy accessibility, but Nigeria has a lot of very interesting data. It may also interest us these days that beyond just focusing on the national data, there are a lot of data on subnational, on state level, that can allow us to start doing some kind of state level analysis, company level analysis, state level analysis, even possibly local government or senatorial level analysis. Especially as our democracy develops, we should be able to poke further into such area. And generally, also individually, we should be speaking about using some knowledge of big data and the rest to start getting data that will be useful, not until some foreign people have to define it for us, or government has to spend money. Private people can start looking at generating pattern and making data available in very consistent manner, so that we can understand our system better, and not only what foreigners tell us about our system are things that we believe in. So Nigeria has a lot of data, and then Nigeria has a lot of people who can generate research ideas, and from there start designing data generating process that meets their research needs. And not only will they stop when they finish their research, but start collating such data for a very long time, so that future generation can make use of such data. So those are some of the things I think I should have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think that's very, very important, and that's very good. I always believe that there's nothing that anyone cannot get. It's just that there's nobody that is doing it. There's nobody that is available to do it, to provide for that service. You can see that even foreign corporations will have information about Nigeria, but Nigerians will not have that information. It's because people in Nigeria are not doing what they're supposed to. People can come from elsewhere to do what we're supposed to do and get what we have and go away, and we still go back to them and buy it. So, but we thank God that ADSR is trying to break that gap and fill that gap by making sure that we collect these pieces of information and aggregate them in terms of data and information, which, because the academic industry is growing, as population of Nigeria is growing, people are also coming up and knowledge is expanding. And as knowledge is expanding, information is available. So we believe that if people are making themselves available to do the right thing, we will get it done. Thank you very much. Move forward. I want to direct this to the facilitator of this class. Someone is asking if big data is relevant to unstructured data analysis. Please, I'll call on the facilitator, Miss Olubere, to handle that. Thank you. Miss Olubere, are you there?
I'm here. Okay. The question says if big data is relevant to unstructured. If you remember from what I said, big data refers to data sets, very large or complex data that you can't just deal with traditional data processing. So when you say big data can come in unstructured form. It can be a combination of both structured and unstructured, which sometimes some people term semi-structured. So it's not that unstructured is just there. When you say big data, it can be a large unstructured data set. So it's actually relevant because it's a type of data, and it now depends on, since it's very large, how do you process it? That's when you now say, okay, this is a large, complex data. How do we deal with it? That's when it becomes big data. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Secondly, someone is asking about our training fee. I think, Mr. Samuel, I think you can reach out to us by our contacts. We will handle that for you. We will discuss further on that. Please reach out to us on our website, on our email, and our phone numbers are available on our different platforms. We will discuss on that further. Thank you very much. Think, is there any other question? If anybody want to ask anything, can type. But in the absence of that, I will I would appeal to everyone, all participants, to on their cameras for group photograph before we round up the training, because we don't want to keep you waiting. Please on your camera and let's take group photograph. Please help us mute your mic. Mute your mic, please.
I do want to mute the mic, please.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for your cooperation. And I would like to, in closing, we'd like to call on Idris Tijani to give a closing remark as we move this class to the end. Please, Mr. Idris, are you with us?
Oh, yes. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. So we have come to the end of the second edition of our Masterclass series on research and data analytics. So, and I want to take this time out to appreciate the facilitator for the insight given and how she handled the session this afternoon. I would also like to appreciate Professor Bright and Mr. Victor for their comments. For joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next month now with the next edition of our Masterclass series. Thank you for joining in. We appreciate your time, and we do hope that you got value for your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Idris Tijani. Finally, we want to appreciate everyone once again for joining us, having time to be with us this afternoon. As we have said, this program is a monthly event, and we hope to have you again next month. Please watch out for our different channels. Our previous classes are available on our YouTube channel. The link has been shared. Please, you can go there and watch it again, download it and make use of it, and also share it to your friends and colleagues. We will also make available the presentation, the slides to everyone who has participated on this, in this event, and every other necessary information across to you. Thank you very much, and we appreciate your time, and we hope you had got value for your time, and we look forward to seeing you in the next class. Thank you, and bye-bye.
Thank you for the good job.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
YouTube. This one is.